Hey folks, David Stewart here. Let's get all these levels working right again. And we will talk a little bit about how everything sucks. Hopefully I've got your attention based on that little bit right there. So, does everything actually suck? The answer is no. I'm using this as an entry point into a bigger conversation. I wanted to do it, I guess, as a live stream so I could get some actual feedback from people, hear people talk. Works best two ways. And that's the beauty of social media, is that it goes both ways. It's a back and forth conversation. So very often I get these comments on videos, especially older videos. You hate everything. You think everything sucks. And the truth is, when I review things, if you were to add up all my reviews, I like most things. Most of the things that I talk about, I give positive reviews to those things. Most of my reviews are, in fact, positive. And the perception that it's negative has to do with not the audience per se, but the way the audience is kind of funneled by YouTube, the way that they're filtered by YouTube. So the people that say, hey, you hate everything, why are you always so negative? YouTube only shows them the things that are negative. They only show them the negative reviews. They only show them the negative content. They only show them the controversial content. So from their perspective, everything that I say is negative. Everything does, in fact, suck. They're just not seeing any of the positive reviews. They're not seeing any of the positive articles because YouTube is determined that they don't want to see those things. And even though they comment and they say, I would love to see you have more positivity on your channel, I do. I have tons of positivity, but YouTube, the robots that run YouTube have decided that those people should not see it. And so if you're in this business, really if you're in any kind of social media business, or even if you're just trying to sell books on Amazon, you're in the business of working for robots. That's what we do here at YouTube. We work for robots. We don't really work for ourselves, because you have this thing called the algorithm, and you hear lots of people talk about the algorithm, and even a lot of the people who are on YouTube have no idea how YouTube actually works. But the algorithm is not one monolithic thing, but rather a long set of filters that are designed to direct people towards the content which they will pay attention to. That's the most important thing from YouTube's perspective. Remember, YouTube is not trying to sell you satisfaction. They're not trying to sell you a great experience. They're just trying to sell your attention to advertisers. So your attention's being sold to advertisers. Therefore, YouTube and the way that the engineers have designed all of the many different filters that we call the algorithm is designed to shuffle you towards content which holds your attention. And that is almost universally going to be controversial content. Controversial content is the content people want to click on. It's the content people want to comment on. It's the content people pay attention to, whether they are angry at the content or whether they agree with it. It is highly engaging. That's why our world is so full of it. And if you think I'm lying, you can just go look up Vox's just look up the Vox magazine Twitter feed. Just look at their Twitter account. Every single article has a headline, at least, that has a controversial title. The controversial title of this live stream is Everything Sucks. So someone's going to click the replay of this. Everything sucks. What the hell is Stu going to talk about with this everything sucks business? It's that it's really easy to have that perception that everything sucks, or that David Stewart hates everything on the internet, or every piece of content is directed towards some kind of negative thing, because that's the way YouTube works. It shuffles everybody towards that controversial content, and the content which may make you feel better, which may make you feel good, which may make you think more. It's just not as engaging overall as the negative content. Now, in my book, and you can get it, it's out now, it's called Keys to Prolific Creativity. I talk about some social media strategies, and I actually outline what I usually do on the YouTube channel, what I've done for the last year or two. And that is, I have 1 to 2, sometimes 3 controversial videos per week. These are videos that are negative in nature, and these are the ones that get people's attention. And then the rest of the week, all of the content is directed towards people who are gonna like the other things that I do, that are gonna like my books, that are gonna like, that are creative people that want, to have a little bit of refinement of their process, want to just look at their process from a different perspective and improve what they're doing, improve their output, right? And that's a lot of people who sub to the channel. Or it's just people who like fantasy literature, and so I'll make a video that's directed towards just having conversations with other fantasy fans, and that gets them interested in my books. So if you're doing nothing but negative content, you're actually not developing an audience. You're just getting attention over and over again. It's kind of like being a town crier or something like that. It's kind of yelling into a crowd. So I try to do this balance of it, but lately it's become really, worse than it was before for whatever reason. The positive reviews, to go back to an idea like that, if I put out a positive review of something, it'll get 800 views. 800, which for me is not very many. If you're running a smaller channel, that may be like a really good view count, but it's all a function of scale. And of course, bigger YouTubers that have an order of magnitude more subscribers than me, they do the same thing. They have the same problems. And I've seen a couple of YouTubers lately talking about this. I think I watched one from Jim Sterling, and it doesn't matter what you think about Jim Sterling. He's right when he talks about that people are always complaining that there's no positivity on his channel when all they watch is the negative videos, and it's not their fault. Those are the videos YouTube shows them. I go live, YouTube doesn't tell the people who want to know. I put out a video that's exactly what people ask for, and they never watch it because YouTube doesn't show it to them. Instead, it shows them the videos that are going to make them pay attention the longest and therefore watch the most ads. So you understand that the purpose here is not really directed towards you, the customer. It's really the customer is the advertiser, and we're trying to do these things. We're trying to get people's attention to sell it to the advertiser. The real customer is the advertiser. And that's why this stuff really matters. And the same thing with demonetization or any of this kind of stuff that has been kind of the ongoing YouTube ad crisis is now in like permanent mode for years at this point. It's all about trying to keep as many advertisers on board as possible in order to facilitate selling an audience to them. And I also talk about this in the book too. If you think, I don't want to be controversial, I just kind of want to sail under the radar, I don't want all of the hate. Guess what? Nobody's gonna pay attention to you. They just aren't. So that means you either are renting an audience or you are having an audience by delivering content that they actually want to see. And this is part of the problem with YouTube in general. So if you're not making content that piques people's interest, and if you want the most potent content that piques people's interest, it's going to be that which is controversial. Otherwise, you're going to have to do things which are very interesting otherwise, and it's really hard to predict that stuff. Really highly viral videos of entertaining things and funny things. It's really hard to be funny and entertaining on a high enough level that that's what's going to get people's attention. But of course, you can try that and you can do that. But either way, you have to be interesting enough for your audience to pay attention to you. Otherwise, you will be renting the audience. And by renting the audience, I mean you will be advertising. That's what the advertiser is doing. The advertiser is basically renting you from me. So renting my audience from me to serve them ads and to basically get their attention to direct them towards products that the audience hopefully will like. And of course, because of how highly refined the filtering process is, the ads that you see, everybody sees different ads that are just directed towards them. It's very effective in that way. And it can be very cheap as well because you're directing everything right towards the person who wants to see it. Now, the other problem with YouTube and all of this stuff is that once these filters have decided that you do something, then that is what you do basically forever. All of that data is incorporated into it. So, I put out some Star Wars videos that got a lot of views. So from the algorithm's perspective, this is a Star Wars channel and it's going to show my videos to people who like Star Wars. And it's really only going to, like if I do a video on Conan the Barbarian, it's really only going to show that to people who like Conan the Barbarian and like Star Wars. It's way tighter focused. It's really hard to break out of your little box in YouTube. And almost immediately, like I broke out of my box initially because this channel started as a guitar instruction channel, but guitar instruction videos are not that popular. It's kind of long tail content. That is, it's evergreen on one level. People will be searching for things. One of my most popular videos is still what's the difference between a classical and flamenco guitar. So that's good on one level, but as you go deeper into it, and I decided I want to just do a movie review and just talked about Star Wars. I just want to talk about stuff that I care about, and so I bitched about Star Wars for like 40 minutes and got some attention, and they got even more attention when Last Jedi came out. And so from then on, it's like I'm a Star Wars channel. And there's other channels that are happy doing that. They're happy bitching about Star Wars 7 days a week, for months and months on end. And I guess there's people who are okay hearing their opinions spoken back to them over and over again. But that's not what I want to do, and that's not necessarily the audience I want to court. I don't want to court an audience that just really wants to hear me bitch, because they're not people who are interested in what I really want to sell. And what I really want to sell is books. What I really like to do is write. What I really like to do is create. I like to make music. I like to write books. I don't mind making content because it stimulates my mind and it's interesting, and I love having conversations with people. But at the same time, it's not like the main thing. It's not my cash crop. And I talk about this in the book. Whatever you're doing, you have a cash crop. You have your main thing. And it's really easy to get distracted by other things. To say, I'm going to do a bunch of YouTube videos and it can be really fun because you get attention. But what are you doing? Are you a writer? Are you a musician? Are you a painter? Or are you a YouTuber? I don't want to be a YouTuber. And I've never used that title because that to me, it's like YouTube is like the job I do and everything else is secondary. It's like, no, this is it's part of the business, but it's not my cash crop. It's not the main thing that I do. So just as an example, I'm gonna tell a story to you about how you end up feeling mad whenever you turn on YouTube. Just as an example. So you turn on YouTube, you see a video, and it says something like, Final Fantasy VII sucks. Now, I bring this one up because the other week I came out with a video, do we really need a Final Fantasy VII remake? And there were so many comments from people who never watched the video. This was a very balanced video where I was like, this remake's looking pretty good, guys. It's looking pretty good. It's looking good enough that I actually pre-ordered it based on playing the demo, which is something I never do. I never pre-order games, but I'm like, I gotta have this game, especially during this quarantine, People don't, but they respond to the controversial title. So anyway, somebody sees it. Final Fantasy VII sucks. You love Final Fantasy. Now, do you actually want to watch content about how much Final Fantasy VII sucks? The answer is probably no. But you click on it because you're like, I just gotta see why someone doesn't like this game I love. So you click on it. This person is going off about how it's a stupid story and it's ugly graphics and Cloud's a dumb character, and you're just like, and you click that dislike button and you write an angry comment. Now, what people do when they do that, they don't think, because they're operating kind of on that lizard brain level. They're not thinking about what that says to the robots. The robots watch your behavior. This is the filters that we call the algorithm. And they're like, this content was highly engaging to him. He really watched the entire video. It was 30 minutes long. And we showed him 6 ads. We need to show him more content like that. And you're like, but I clicked the dislike button. Should that tell YouTube I want less content like that? And the answer is no. It tells YouTube you want more of that content, but you didn't like that particular video. So rather than showing you videos maybe by that same person, in fact, it might show you videos by the same person, it's going to show you lots of other videos that are just like that one, according to their algorithm and their filters. And you're going to get angrier and angrier because you're just going to keep seeing these videos pop in your feed. Final Fantasy VII sucks. Final Fantasy VII is overrated. Final Fantasy VII, do we really need a remake of Final Fantasy VII? And you're just going to keep clicking on them and feeling angrier and angrier and wondering what the hell is going on. And it's because the robot only cares about your attention, not your feelings, not how you actually feel about that. And frankly, people's behaviors haven't adapted to this. So YouTube is basically in a perpetual shock jock mode as far as like this kind of content goes, this talking content. And as a user, it's really easy to wonder what the hell happened to YouTube. I used to like watching YouTube, and it's because you went down some rabbit hole. And then from then on, the algorithm, not only has the robots have decided I am a Star Wars YouTuber, they decided you love watching videos about how much Final Fantasy VII sucks. or it's the same thing with Star Wars, right? There's people who are still subscribed to me that are blocked on the channel that if I unblock them, the next video I put out with is going to be a comment insulting me because they comment on every single video about how much they hate me, but they just don't realize that they're blocked. They just don't realize that they're hidden from the channel. There's people that hate me because I put out a video about how much I think a couple of Star Wars movies suck. There's some really messed up people there, and they're probably suffering serious psychic distress as to why they keep seeing content about how much Star Wars sucks and how much it upsets them to see that. But from YouTube's perspective, it's showing them exactly what that person wants. It's showing them what they pay attention to. So I wanted to just talk about that for a little bit and make that as part of the live stream and just check out some of the comments following that particular rant. Because that's what it is. That's the game we're in. And it gets exhausting to play that game. Some days I just can't muster enough care to make a negative video. And especially right now, like with this coronavirus stuff going on, I just can't think of any negative crap to say. I know that sounds weird. I just want escapes. I want to write books. I think what I might do is just like put out more audiobooks of my books instead of like trying to make a bunch of this kind of controversial content about how everything sucks. Anyway, let's see here. Sound Engraver has the book in the Kindle library. Thank you. Isn't Everything Sucks a Real Big Fish song? I don't know. They have Sell Out, which is like they tell you what they want you to play. Payola. That should be the name of a Twitter account that uses random words every hour in tweets. That's the 9/11 one. 9/11, something did 9/11. Pudding did 9/11. PewDiePie did 9/11. Read it in one sitting. Very motivating. Thank you, Galcomage. So I'm glad you got some motivation out of it. Please do leave a review if you liked it, by the way. No, it's just most things sucks. So here's the thing, Raging Goblin. Most things don't suck. Most things are great, but they're maybe not directed towards you. Most things are good. It's just that we live in a world where that negativity is so amplified, you can easily come to perceive that that's the case. It's kind of like when I see these memes where it's like the natural state of history is war, like these suburban houses, this is an accident. It's like, actually, history is definitely peace punctuated by war when you look at it. But because war is a significant event and it's one that has a big impact, that tends to be what history is about war and conquest. Even though the day-to-day lives of people, war is that big interruption, but their day-to-day lives for most of their life is going to be the standard stuff. They're, shopkeepers, merchants, farmers, not conquerors, not soldiers fighting a war. I mentioned that even during like the Wars of the Roses, which went on forever, this English Civil War, there were parts of England that the war never went to, that were literally untouched by the war. Nothing changed. There was a feudal lord. He never had a fight on his land. Things just went on normally for the people that were there. And it's that way a lot of times, It's really peace punctuated by war, but we focus on war because it's far more interesting than, you don't read a book. It's like, the English, here's 400 pages about English peasants farming during the 11th century. It's like, no, we want to talk about them conquests. Let's talk about that Norman conquest, guys. All right. But from my perspective, the Jedi are evil. Life's kind of great at the moment. Big opportunities to start fresh and make money coming. Change is coming. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. And it's one of those things with YouTube where I've considered, like, I've done this before. I've made other channels. I have a Storycraft channel that I'm going to build up with just story content. It's like, it's almost easier to delete the channel and just start fresh than to try to do the content you want to do with what's built into the algorithm. Because it's just kind of like if I come out with, put out a free audiobook of something and people are like 200 views. It's like, great. Guys, this is a free book and it's a good book. And it's like, it's how it is. Now, it's not ideal content for YouTube, but it's something that is valuable and free. But people don't want to watch it. They want to, they get more excited to click on something that's like a rant. I think that's why like channels I imagine, I should say, Yeah, I mentioned Jim Sterling. It doesn't matter what you think about him. It doesn't matter what you think about Razorfist either, but I imagine he's got some of the same thing. He's really famous for these rants, these explosive rants, and like his style. But he does a lot of other content too, but I just don't think it gets quite as much attention because people get excited by his like very kind of acidic attacks on things. That's just kind of how it is, and I think he just cultivates that as well. But if he wants to not be raging anymore, what does he do? Even when you express negative views, it's for a positive reason. They're shared with a positive opposite solution remedy. Yeah, now I'm going back to that pyramid of effect I talk about in story writing. You know, there's reacting, caring, and then thinking. I try to make every piece of content, if it's informational, go to the top, thinking. I try to make like the reaction, try to put that in like the title and maybe the thumbnail. So I did that Final Fantasy VII one. Do we really need a Final Fantasy VII remake? People react. Oh, I have an opinion, and I want to click and leak my opinion, and I want to see what this opinion is. And does this person really... We've been wanting a Final Fantasy VII remake for 15 years. And I'm like... Within the first minute, I'm like, you know, if you asked me if there was going to be a remake, it's like, but I don't play the demo. I'm like, this game is awesome. Now, that within the first 30 seconds... If you can't listen to the first 30 seconds, it doesn't matter, right? We're not getting to that caring stage anyway. We don't really want to care. You get to the caring stage. Oh, I care about Final Fantasy VII. And then the thinking stage. Let me think about what constitutes like a valid remake, or why we might want to remake a game, or where it what do you want to do with it. So it goes back to that pyramid of effect. It's really hard to get people to think. And that, I think, is the challenge. Is you have to get through that reactive and caring part to get to the thinking part. And most people react. They react first. Even smart people, we react first. And it's not like I'm unaffected. I see those videos on the right-hand side of YouTube. I'm like, man, I really want to click that video about how this new phone sucks. I want to click this video about how this Samsung phone is not good because I didn't buy it. You know, it's like... you want to have people, re-justify your opinion, things like that. So if I see a video that's like, Kirk Hammett sucks, I'm like, I kind of think he does. I really want to watch the video and hear another person's opinion that's my opinion. You know, that's something that drives a lot of that. And then if it's like, Yngwie Malmsteen sucks, I'm like, well, I want to click that to check out what this idiot's saying about Yngwie. Yeah, I upload chapters for my story, and most people don't bother watching it. Crystal Lake asks, what's my favorite film of all time? It's really hard to say. I'd say the ones that are really up there, I think I did one a while back of like just 5 of my favorite. I just picked 5. One of them was Heat. Heat's a movie you can go back to, and it's great every time. It's great. I think Alien is probably another one. The original Alien. It's good. Patton, I like a lot. Patton, and if there's any that are just like superb, and there's so many more. There's so many great movies, but those are the ones that I can go back and watch again and again, and always. Conan the Barbarian, one of my favorites. Yeah, really hits home for me. I started live streaming my commentary on art. I'm objective, and artists who follow me are already strongly disagreeing with me. Yeah, it's in that reactive mode. You know, it's that lizard brain. People react quickly. Got tired of FanTube whining about the problem and getting paid because of the clicks and paid chats. That's it, Bradford. But offering no solutions or alternatives that people can actually use. Now, see, I went into it like when I was doing Last Jedi, I'm like, I know people are going to pay attention to this. I had books for sale. I'm like, and then not only for sale, but I gave free books. So I gave away thousands of copies of Needle Ash. And what I figured out real quickly is that I gave away a lot of copies to people I shouldn't have given away copies to. Which is to say, they were really just negative people who had no idea what they were talking about or what they were reading or dealing with. If it had been like a straight like copy of Star Wars, it would have been a lot better. But I like to write fantasy stuff, not as much space opera. So anyway, Jared says he came for the Star Wars and stayed for the other content. Now that's that filtering thing. You want to bring people in with controversial content that is exciting to them. Then you want to see if they'll watch additional videos that are positive and make them feel good. Play to their interests, make them think, get up to that higher level of thinking, and that's how you keep someone around that is really fun to interact with and is a fan. You know, you want to make fans, and that's really what I want. I like having good conversations with people. You know, and I could tell the people that, I really liked your video on the table measuring the ruler. More people should watch it. all that kind of stuff. How much of all metal music sucks, or is it just Metallica? Most metal is really good. Metal is one of the best genres because there's so much fan filtering that goes on in the scene. Like most of the crap gets just really buried. There's so much good stuff. The cream really does rise to the top when it comes to metal. Metallica doesn't suck though. I really like Metallica. It's just they haven't really come out with a good record in a long time. And their most recent one, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, it was an okay record. And it's one of those things that my big complaint about it is that it was too long. It was 2 discs of music that was all kind of samey sounding. None of the songs really were very different from each other. And if they'd cut it down to about 10 songs and left the others off and just focused on making those 10 songs the best they could, you would have had a much better album. Instead, they just recorded like 20 songs, I don't even remember how many, like 24 songs. All their current songs, they just recorded them and put them out. And some of the songs are good. Some of them are kind of okay. Some of them are very forgettable. So it doesn't make a super strong album. Like Metallica's not bad. Like they're not terrible musicians or anything. They just haven't done a whole lot of good metal in a long time. You know, if you're gonna think metal bands that suck, it's really hard for me to just think of ones that actually suck, that are just like bad. Maybe I don't know. Different versions of Guns N' Roses maybe, but that's really hard rock. It's funny to see the Star Wars, Marvel, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Dissenter, Cottage Industry channels scrape the bottom of the barrel during the lockdown. I know. I've seen so many of these channels complain, these Fandom Menace channels complain that like their views are in the toilet or something like that. And it's like, if your whole business is based around complaining about like, quote, geek IPs, got a problem. You got to have a little bit more diversity than that. I think it's bound to, eventually your audience is going to get tired of listening to it, or they'll move on to things they actually care about. If you're not like completely deranged by now, if you were upset with Star Wars, you found other things that interest you, whether they're games or movies or books or something. And Star Wars is just kind of it's kind of in the back there. Like, oh man, I used to love Star Wars back when it was cool. It's like Metallica fans in the 90s. Like, man, I liked Metallica when they were cool back in the 80s. YouTube wanted me to watch GMM so bad, and I finally got those out of my recommended. Yeah, at least YouTube does have a thing where you can click it and say, like, I want to see less of this. And that will actually send a signal. So, like, if I go over here, like, I'll just go to YouTube real quick, and we'll check it out. I think like, if I click on something, there's like a 3-dot thing, and I can click that and go like, not interested, don't recommend channel. You can click those 2 things and that will actually do what you want it to do, which is eliminate that stuff from your feed. And maybe I'll make a video just on that, how to make your YouTube feed work for you as just as a viewer, and I do this with mine too. Because they'll show me the same video. I clicked on a video and they'll show me the same video from the same guy, even though I'm not subscribed, over and over again. It's that's just how they work. It's just how it does it. It's like, you're interested in this. It doesn't really care what you're subscribed to anymore. The subscription, it doesn't really do very much anymore. And subscribers just don't matter that much. What really matters is how able you are to attract attention using the right metadata, the right thumbnail, the right controversial title, as well as content that follows that up and keeps people watching. That's really what it's all about. Let's see here. Why on earth would someone waste their time on that? I don't know what we're talking about. Treating somebody because they dislike a movie is like, yeah, but that's it. There's people who are mentally deranged when it comes to their fandom. There's fans who it's part of their identity, like their identity is Star Wars fan. So if somebody says, hey, Star Wars sucks, or this part of Star Wars sucks, then it's an affront to their self-identity. It'd be like saying, it'd be like being El Salvadoran and hear someone say El Salvadorans suck. Salvadorans are dumb, and it's like, hey, I'm Salvadoran and I'm not dumb. That's what it's like. So it's an assault on their identity. And of course, like, if you assault someone's identity, they're going to be upset about it. But fandom shouldn't be an identity. It really shouldn't. I think it's just a widespread psychological problem that we've got, are people that identify with things that they like rather than who they are, or where they come from, or who their people are, right? Like, your ethnic identity is your ethnic identity. Liking stuff is not your ethnic identity. But I think it's probably kind of a big thing in America, because Americans' ethnic identities, especially if you're white, are so muted. It's like you don't have an ethnic identity. It's like, I'm white. I'm a white American. It's like, but if you live in Europe, it's like you're Dutch or you're Scottish. You have an actual ethnic identity. Where it's like, oh yeah, my ancestors came from Scotland like 100 years ago or something, and I guess I'm Scottish, or I guess I'm Irish. But you're not really Irish. Like, you're not in the culture of Ireland, and so you just kind of attach to other kinds of identities. I've been playing Persona 5. I have it right here. I still haven't plugged it in. I think it's definitely on the table. I finished up Fire Emblem finally. I want to finish up Dragon Quest, which I still haven't finished, and then probably get on to, say, it's unwrapped. I haven't even unwrapped it, guys. That's how little time I have to play. I was looking at my list of like Steam games. I'm like, my gosh, I have so many Steam games that I've never even installed, that at one point I wanted to play. I'm like, I don't even remember buying this. Did someone buy this for me? I have no idea. When we feel, oh, I missed something good there. Hold on. Make sure, if you really want me to pay attention, it's at David Stewart, and then I'll really pay attention to it. When we feel angry, we get a boost in cortisol and adrenaline. That's true. When we express our anger via comments or get feedback, we get a release of endorphins. There you go. YouTube views are driven by our neuro. Yes. Lobster 11, you are right on the money. So it would change if people adapted their behavior. If somehow, but you're right, it's like it's so in the moment. People would have to develop a natural resistance to that. Like, it'd have to be like a drug that you develop a tolerance to, so it doesn't do anything anymore. And, and after a while, I kind of think it is that way, where it's like, you go so long without laughing. When you see something that's even mildly humorous, you just crack up. I like laugh at my kids all day, and I barely get to see anything that's funny. I feel like everything that is put out as comedy isn't funny, and the funniest thing is like my kid going, I farted out my mouth. And it's just like, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. It just is like, that's how you end up with it, is you become sensitive to other things. Gotha's collected work sold 200 to 400 copies originally, I believe it. The Sorrows of Young Werther. Why is David not wearing his hazmat suit? Doesn't he know how dangerous everything is? He only has a 99.9% chance of surviving the beer virus without a suit, a mask, a shield, and Lysol. Now, here's the thing. My chance of surviving is like pretty much 100% because I'm really healthy. But I could transmit that to, say, my mother-in-law, who had radiation treatment when she had lymphoma like 30 years ago, and it'll kill her. We're talking much higher chance. Or my immunocompromised father-in-law. So I really don't want to get the virus, not because I'm worried about me, but because I could transmit it to people who are so much more medically fragile than me, because deaths are concentrated in different areas. It's statistics make people stupid, and I meant to do a video on this. I did a blog article on it. Math makes people stupid. Math makes people not understand reality, is what I've decided. Now, I've had friends that call, oh, it's in numeracy. It's like, no, they can do arithmetic, but they don't know what it means. So it's like if you tell someone, hey, you have a 98% chance of surviving your commute to work today. Most people take 98% and they just convert that into a sure thing. They're like, yeah, I'm not going to die today. I have a 98% chance. It's like 2% chance of death is extremely high. Your chance of dying on your way to work is like 0.00001%, really. And it could be 0%, zero chance of getting hit or dying on your way to work at all. There's simply no chance of it happening because of all the factors that that go into that. And the main thing is that probabilities are not derived from statistics in most cases. There are statistics which convert to probability, but you should not assume that. It's kind of like with divorce statistics. People are like, I don't want to get divorced. I have a 40% chance of getting divorced if I get married, so I'm not going to get married. It's like, it doesn't work that way. It's not a random event. The dice are not rolling and determining that's going to happen to you. There's a result of many decisions that are subject to your will. It's like saying, like being black and saying, well, because I'm black, I have a 30% chance of being a criminal and going to prison. It's like, no, you don't. You could have a 0% chance. You just choose not to be a criminal, like most black people do, So you wouldn't meet a black person and say, you have a 30% chance of going to jail. Like, it could be 0%, it could be 100%. Depends on what they do, It's not a dice roll. People don't get it. But anyway, I want to have a little rant about that. Some people are like, oh, I have no chance of dying. It's like, yeah, but I don't want you to get me sick and then get my very medically fragile elders sick, because they will die, It's extremely dangerous for them because they don't have, they get pneumonia and stuff all the time. They'll get pneumonia and die. Dave Mustaine over Kirk Hammett. I agree. I love Dave Mustaine gave this great backhanded compliment to Kirk one time. He goes, I think Kirk has done great in the band considering how much talent he has. And it's like, I remember that. I was like, oh, that's so Dave, Dave's gotten way nicer over the years, but occasionally he just can't help himself and he does stuff like that. And just like, it makes me love him a little bit more. And I know he's a Christian now and he's received lots of forgiveness for that. And I hope other people will forgive him too. Me and my friend are planning to make a short film once the pandemic is over. We got to come up with an idea. It revolves around 2 people in mainly one location. No budget. Any ideas? Well, I would look at a movie called Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino's first movie, which was recorded on a very low budget and a very limited cast. And just take a look at how he accomplished that. One of the ways he accomplished it is that there's minimal locations. I think there's 3 or 4 locations. There's the coffee shop, there's the whatever that warehouse room they're in, where most of the conflict takes place, and then there's like a scene of a couple characters talking in some random outdoor location. So I'd look at how they accomplished that. There's a robbery scene where you just see the cars crashed. You never see what they're actually doing in the robbery, and that really cuts down on the expense of having to do scenes like that. Really, if you focus on the impact of events, you can actually avoid filming the events. And that's something that he did in Reservoir Dogs. So rather than filming the robbery gone wrong, they just focused on the impact of the robbery gone wrong, because that's what matters. But keep in mind, you're going to have sharp dialogue. Your dialogue's got to be razor sharp if you're going to avoid having a lot of action that's going to keep people interested. People are very used to stimulating action. So you got to stimulate them with good dialogue. Is Fight Club still a film you can return to repeatedly? Yes, I still think it's good. And I like the book as well, but you have to be aware that the book is about Chuck Palahniuk's homosexuality. And it's kind of a metaphorical level on that. Vox Day has said that it's like very deeply about it, not just about him like repressing it, but him like, it's like, I'm going to fight every person in here is about him going to like a gay like sex club. And I'm not disagreeing with him on that. I just hadn't read that much into it. And it's been so long since I read the book. I don't know, but that's another level. But I did get very, very easily that it's like this, this living the secret life stuff. It's really about how he was gay. Have you read the Durant's The Story of Civilization? I haven't. Is it blasphemous to depict biblical stories and figures with anime? I don't think it is, or I wouldn't have them. It's not blasphemous to depict any biblical stories, I would assume. Otherwise, iconography would be, you're talking iconoclasm. So I think in Islam, that would be, graven image, but we don't really have that in any Christian sect that I mean, I'm sure there's some that believe that you shouldn't do that. There's somebody somewhere out there, but like the mainline Christians, we don't really think that. Hence why there's animated stories from the Bible, and there's actually a lot of like anime Bible stories out there. There's even ones that were done in Japan. There's the Adventure Bible, which is like a comic book Bible. Is that blasphemous? No. Like it's just there to depict to depict Virgin Mary and a baby. My daughter loves to like look at that picture for whatever reason. It's really attractive to her. I think the big eyes. Anime, that's really just a style. It doesn't carry any other the meanings in the arrangement of it, and it doesn't carry a bunch of other baggage with it, right? We're your fans. I appreciate that. Judas Priest. I like Judas Priest a lot. I watched the entire video on Final Fantasy VII Remake. My opinion was the same as always. I just don't trust this new millennium to remake something from the past without ruining it. And I feel you on that. And the thing is that I don't love the original Final Fantasy VII enough to have an attachment to it being ruined. I really feel like I could judge the product objectively. Like I could see both sides of it easily. I could see it's a bad game or a good game on its own. So I'm not even viewing it as a remake, and it's the gameplay is completely different. It's more like a reimagining. But I have a feeling like that this game is set up to enrage a lot of people because they may change things about the plot. And I don't know why they may change it, but imagine you took a story when you wrote when you're 20 and you're 40. Obviously, you're going to have new experiences. There's going to be little things about the story you want to revise. And I'm revising and rewriting a book right now that I'm going to put out, the Moonsong 2 book, which I wrote years ago. And there's lots of little things that just aren't what I would do now, and I don't have a good opinion of them, so I'm going to change them. So game makers could do that too, and then what do we think of that? Do we keep it the original way? There's so many different lines of opinion. I think a lot of people have such an attachment to the game, they're going to hate the game because it does something unexpected with it. I think there might even be like time travel in the game. I don't know what they're going to do. Almost every video of yours that I comment on, I get at least one person who replies with some sort of butthurt tirade. I never reply to them anymore. Yeah, it depends. Like I kind of let people go at it in the comments. But if somebody's being, really dishonest and very like gamma male, I'll just ban them because they disrupt the conversation. Other people are like, two people are trying to have a conversation about, I don't trust them to remake games. It's like I trust them to remake games because I'm judging this, and and then someone gets in the middle of it and is like, I hope your flesh gets eaten by cockroaches, boomer, and your asshole rots out of your face. It's like, if you have too many of those people around, it's impossible to have a conversation. It's bell ringing. It's what I call bell ringing. You just kind of get in the middle of it, and you're unable to communicate with the other person. On metal bands, what are your thoughts on Slayer? They sound fast and heavy, but also noisy. I love Slayer. I've seen them. I saw them a bunch of times. I don't know, a bunch of times. I saw them a couple times. I'd say a bunch of times. A bunch of times compared to people who've never seen them. And I grew up listening to Slayer. I do enjoy Slayer. Yeah, I like Slayer. I really want more positive videos for you. I'm craving them more than ever, especially after watching your retro game console and video game videos. It's felt very good seeing those. I want to do more retro game stuff because I think retro games are a great place to explore gaming because you have the inception of the gameplay. If you go back and you play a lot, especially PS2 games, there's a reason PlayStation 2 was like one of my, people were like, how did you say PlayStation 3 was the best Sony consoles? Like it had just the best of everything. It had new games with new gameplay elements like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, stuff like that was coming out on the platform. Just stuff that was just a big step forward from PlayStation 2. But if you go back and play PS2 games like the original Devil May Cry, for instance, there's all kinds of gameplay elements that were like pretty new when they came out and really cool and really fun to play with. So you get to see the excitement of the gameplay design at its beginnings. And what we have now, what we had with the PS4 generation was kind of a reiteration of everything that existed on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. We had that for this new generation. And I feel like the next generation, that's what we're going to get again. We're going to get more iteration on all of the gameplay modes we had before, but even maybe worse, because each time they iterate them, they water them down a little bit. Yeah, another open world game, So why aren't all these open world games as good as Skyrim and Oblivion? And the answer is because they're not. Because they aren't approaching the gameplay right. They're just trying to fit a mold. And anyway, I think retro games are a great place to explore games for anyone looking to explore them. You can get You can get a PlayStation 2 fairly cheap. If you have a PlayStation 3 and you can get a cheap PlayStation 3, that will play all PlayStation 1 games and upscale them, and they look great. So that's a great place to play a lot of retro games too, is a PlayStation 3, which you can get them really cheap right now. I have a PlayStation 3, one of the original ones that plays all the games, and that's the main reason I have it. Is like if I come across a PlayStation 1 game and just pop it in and play it, how cool is that? Thank you for the tip on the bone conduction headphones. Best purchase I've made in a long time. I'm so glad. Here they are. Here's my hearing aid. My bone conduction hearing aid. Let me put that clip that guy on my head real quick. There we go. It's out of batteries. I'll have to find batteries. That's my Ponto. Great little device. What are your thoughts on Disney Plus? I think it's pure greed on their part. It's just another streaming service. We got it free with our phone contract, so I have it, which means I could watch Rise of the Skywalker again. Watch it cross those lightsabers and blow up Palpatine with his lightning. Unintentional space opera is what that final act was. I loved it. It was so funny. I laughed at it the whole way. It's just so ridiculous. Have you ever listened to a podcast called The Black Brigade Debrief? It's super. I appreciate the suggestion, but I actually really don't listen to podcasts. I barely listen to audiobooks. I usually listen to music when I work out, and otherwise I don't listen to anything. What are your views on Shakespeare and his fans? I got nothing against Shakespeare. It's been filtered by time. People like it. Let's see here. I've heard the theory that Fandom Menace does it for one intention and two to deflect from themselves. SWC revived and espoused this theory. Yeah, that's probably part of it. It's an attention economy, and so if you're just in the business, like in the social media business, you just kind of want the attention, and so you're just going to do it. World Class Bullshitters is on right now, but Jeff is only going to complain about The Last Jedi again like he did last night. Comicsgate has the same problem. Same shit, different day. And see, this is somebody who's like, hey, you do nothing but Star Wars videos. It's the same thing. It's like, dude, I haven't done a Star Wars video in months. It's like, you only do videos on The Last Jedi. I'm like, I actually haven't done a Last Jedi video since Last Jedi came out. So I did another one 2 years later. And it was like, all you do is it's like I did 300 videos that year. You didn't watch any of them. YouTube, and it's not just that they didn't watch any of them. YouTube just doesn't show them, That's how it is. So it's just like somebody complained about that, and I just laughed. I'm like, you don't watch my content. You have no idea what content I make because I made 300 videos this year. And like, I mentioned Star Wars, and like two of them had like a Star Wars thing. And I did a bunch of Star Wars videos in December because I knew a Star Wars movie was coming out. It's almost like I know how to run a business. It's almost like I've done this for a while. Let's see here. Why not just press the not interested to avoid unwanted YouTube videos? That didn't always exist. A lot of people don't know it's there. That's my point, Crazy Chameleon. So you're saying math is elusive if I don't know how to use it or understand it. It is. And math is deceptive, not elusive. People throw out statistics all the time to deceive you. So when you see that 98% survival rate, people just round up to 100% because that's the way. If you were playing in Vegas and you're like, it's a 98% chance of winning, you'd be stupid not to bet on it. But if you're playing Russian roulette with 50 cylinders, you'd be stupid to play because it's not about the chance, it's about the impact. So that's part of it. The other part of it is distribution. So these kind of normalized statistics never include distribution, which help you accurately assess risk. So like 98% survival sounds pretty good, but it's actually terrible because the regular flu is like 99.99% survival. Because it affects so many people, magic of large numbers makes it seem like the flu's going to have a bigger impact. No, coronavirus has the potential to have a much bigger impact. Potential. I mean, you can do things to alter it. You can debate as to whether we are actually doing those things. That's a different conversation. But the possible threat of it, when you hear 98% survival, people just round up to 100%. So they don't think that in the magic of big numbers, if it has a 98% survival rate and the same number of people got the coronavirus as got the flu, which is in the neighborhood of, say, 20 or 30 million in the United States, you have a death toll in the range of 500 to 600,000. That's like the entire city of Fresno being wiped off the map. That's huge. Magic of big numbers. But once you start getting into big numbers, things get confusing, and statistics make people get confused. And then you have distribution. So it's very distributed differently. So like babies pretty much are immune, for whatever reason. Coronavirus is probably not going to affect your baby at all. But somebody who has compromised lungs from, say, radiation treatment, it's like a death sentence, right? Somebody who has AIDS, it's going to be a death sentence, right? Or somebody who has HIV already, it's a big deal for some people. So you have to keep that in mind, is that things are concentrated. It's like drunk driving collisions. You hear, every 15 minutes somebody dies because of drunk driving. That's false. It's categorically false. It's a what I call a normalized statistic, which is where you take everything and you divide it by something else. There's this many people who die from drunk driving incidents, and we divide it by time, and we come up with 15 minutes. Or, so many people per year, you divide it by all the minutes in the year, come up with 1 per 15 minutes. No. Not all of them, but the vast, overwhelming majority of drunk driving incidents happen in concentrated times and concentrated places. In other words, they're happening like after midnight on Fridays and Saturdays, like 98% of them. So are you going to get hit by a drunk driver walking down the street Tuesday afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Look, your chances of encountering a drunk driver are pretty much nil, and your chances of dying due to some encounter of a drunk driver are also pretty much nil. But it has to do with distribution. And so it's there to make people scared of things which they don't really need to be scared of, or to make people think things are not a threat when they are a threat, because the math is confusing. It's a smokescreen against common sense. So if you hear that a virus is killing people, your common sense would be like, I don't want to get it, right? Are there easy things I can do to avoid it? It's like you can wash your hands and wear a mask, or stand 6 feet away from other people. It's like, okay, that's really easy, standing 6 feet away and washing your hands, and you're probably going to do a lot with that. But then you have the people that are like, that's stupid, I'm going to kiss every person I meet just because I have a 98% chance of living. It's like, and then they die later. Like, you didn't understand the risk. You'd have precautionary principle. So the other thing about the precautionary principle is that in the absence of evidence, you use precaution. If you don't know how big a risk it is, you assume it's a big risk because there's a low cost in doing it, especially if there's low cost. Right now, quarantine has high costs, but especially if it's something low cost, like you yourself as an individual wearing a mask, that's a low cost. And even now it's virtually zero social cost. So you can wear a mask and zero cost, but reduction of potential risk. So a lot of times we're dealing with potential risk. Do you know you're more likely to be killed by a cow than a shark? Now my likelihood of dying to either one may be zero. This is a great example. If you're not swimming in the ocean, your chance of getting bitten by a shark is zero. If you are swimming in the ocean, it's much higher than zero. So this is a problem with normalized statistics. So you hear things like that. Well, are you applying that simply to people who swim in the ocean, which they have a risk, and to people who work with cows all the time, and they have a risk? Or are you just normalizing it across the entire population? My guess is when you hear things like that, it's normalized across the entire population. It's like, you have a bigger chance of being struck by lightning than winning the lottery. It's like, your chance of being struck by lightning is effectively zero, and I mean 0, if you just are inside during thunderstorms. You will never get struck by lightning. You'll never get killed by it. You can only get killed by lightning if you are exposing yourself to the risk of being killed by lightning. So only an idiot would walk around with a metal umbrella in a thunderstorm. But people do it all the time because they're like, it's a low probability event, not realizing that it'll kill them. And all they have to do is have a plastic umbrella or wear a hat, or stay inside during a thunderstorm. We all know to stay inside during thunderstorms, but you tell somebody that there's very low chance of them being struck by lightning, all of a sudden they round up to 100% and they assume there's no chance. That's not the case. Like I said, numbers make people stupid. How many decades till we start getting coronavirus themed period pieces in genre films? I would say like two or three decades. Just like how you get like Great Depression ones. Another thing is people are like, this is worse than the Great Depression. It's like the Great Depression was bad because of its duration, not its intensity. It's the duration of it which made it great. It's not that like there was 4 weeks of low economic activity or something. That's not what made the Great Depression. Likewise, the stock market crash didn't create the Great Depression. It was 3 to 4 years of ongoing bank failures that reduced the amount of the money supply by 33%. And just strangled the investment economy. And then the government making it worse for 4 or 5 years after that. New video. Math makes people stupid. Now, new compilations. Mathematicians get wrecked. Mathematicians who are very good at math often don't understand how that math works in the real world. This is something I've experienced a lot. They do this. They do this to some of the things we're talking about. They start normalizing statistics and adding numbers without thinking about what they mean. Or thinking about how things work in the real world. My chance of getting struck by lightning is 0. My chance of getting killed by a cow is 0. I don't work with cows and I don't go outside during thunderstorms. Reservoir Dogs is excellent. It is. Yeah, the robbery's not shown and we just see the aftermath. The dialogue and performances are great as well. Harvey Keitel, I think, really makes it. He's great. Witness for the Prosecution and A Few Good Men are great court dramas. I like A Few Good Men, for sure. Would you like to buy a lemonade? David replies, Snake. Call me Snake. I read a sci-fi short called 95% in which there was a 5% chance of not surviving wormhole travel to a better life. Weirdly enough, the paranoid character didn't survive. Well, it's kind of like the mathematician in Jurassic Park is the example of the guy who actually understands math. I actually really love that character. I don't remember his character's name, and especially in John Grisham's novel, but you can definitely see it in Steven Spielberg's movie as well. He has an understanding, like he's a chaotician. He understands chaos. He understands that with enough randomness, certain outcomes are inevitable, right? Like you roll the dice enough times, eventually you're going to get there. It's kind of like quantum mathematics and stuff. So he understands that this non-zero risk of dinosaurs eating us all converts into 100% risk over time. That's weird to think about, but that's kind of how it works. It's great. Do you like Dream Theater? I do. Favorite album, Images and Words. It's their best. It simply is one of the best metal records ever recorded. They've done every album they come out with, I think, is worth listening to. I don't think they've ever done really a bad album, but as far as the ones which, I can still listen to Images and Words now almost 30 years later. It's great. Will you play a classic Star Wars game? What's your favorite? I really liked Dark Forces 2 on Jedi Knight. I like Dark Forces 1 as well. Somebody talk about Dark Souls. I'm gonna skip that. Let's see here. So yeah, there's lots of ones that I like. I like KOTOR a lot. I wanted to do KOTOR 2 on the stream, but didn't get around to it because it doesn't work well with recording software for some reason. So I'll work on that. Hot topic, consoles versus PC. PCs are better in every technical way that you can possibly imagine. They require slightly more user confidence to operate properly because you got to deal with drivers and all these other little things. But they're universally better. I play, if I were going to pick one for gaming, it would probably be PC. But I have consoles, and one of the reasons I have them is I like to separate the space that I work in. And even though this PC is great for gaming, it's really nice to go to a different room and work. It just means when I sit down at my computer, it's work time, and I go sit down at my couch, it's game time. And I really like that separation, and it's a different feeling. Sitting on the couch with a controller in your hands, it's a little bit different than, even though my office chair is very comfortable, like, sitting with a... This is a different feeling than, like, leaning back in your easy chair. Like, Cheetos. Versus, this is World of Warcraft. Cheetos. So it's a different experience too. Have you ever watched any Bollywood? A little bit. I should watch more, for sure. They just love being over the top with stuff. I love it. There was the anime series in the beginning, the Bible stories from the late 80s. I think I remember that. Made by Osamu, who is it? Osamu Tezuka, known as the Japanese Walt Disney. Yes, I think I remember those. Can you recommend any cyberpunk media? My favorite I don't even know if it counts as cyberpunk, actually. Snow Crash, by Neil Stephenson, I think. There goes my hearing aid beeping at me because it's out of batteries. That's a really good one. For as far as anime, there's so many others, you know. There's like 8 Man After. I've mentioned that one before. It's kind of like one that's kind of a hidden gem. Thoughts on Stefan Molyneux? I haven't watched him in a while. He started going off on like race and IQ nonstop forever, and I just got bored of it. I got bored of that conversation. It's like, okay, I think we're dealing with some problems where people are misunderstanding testing. And not because I'm a teacher and I deal with testing a lot. It's like, I don't think we've given a bunch of IQ tests to people in Nigeria to figure out they have like a 60 IQ. And this idea is like, you can't have a society with all these different IQ levels. It doesn't hold up to serious scrutiny to me. And I've talked about it in the past before, but you know, you can look it up. You look up different things as you're on. You have to assume that the measuring IQ converts into some predictive value, and I just don't really accept that. It does at like some levels, but not as much as people would really like. Same thing with SAT scores. I got a very high SAT score. It was like 1540 or something, right? Very high at the time, and didn't convert into massive success for me. And I know other people, it's like they got 1500s on their SATs and they're like on welfare. They've had a terrible go of things. Like it didn't predict good outcomes for them. Your thoughts on hobbies like Warhammer? I haven't. I think it's good to have. You can have one hobby. So going to this book, I talk about hobbies. You can pick one hobby. If you start picking more than one hobby, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. You're going to have your time sucked up by that one hobby. So if you really enjoy Warhammer and like painting Warhammer miniatures and doing the Warhammer game, that's great. Enjoy it. You're allowed to enjoy whatever you want. But I think people get into like a nerd culture thing where they're like trying to do everything. Like I want to play D&D, I want to do Warhammer, I want to play game. It's like pick one thing and let the other stuff go, because otherwise you just won't have time to do stuff that really matters. Like if you're trying to be creative, say pick one thing. So my hobby is probably just playing video games, most specifically RPGs, maybe even more specifically JRPGs. I really like JRPGs. These days I do. But of course I love my old CRPGs too. But there's just not as many of them, I feel like, that are good anymore. The fandom minists love Star Wars. We're just speaking out about the disrespect that Disney and Lucasfilm has towards the best customers and disregard they have for Star Wars as a cohesive story. I agree. I think the fandom minists love Star Wars and they just want good Star Wars. That's what I think. And I think it was bad on my part to assume that people were just going to abandon liking Star Wars. They want to watch Star Wars. They want to like Star Wars. Going through the Hyperion's good on Endymion right now. It feels quite original for the time. How much is it really original? It's hard to say. I don't feel like I can talk off the cuff about that. I've always tried explaining things like this to people, basically, especially statistics and probability, and people always treat me like I'm crazy and never listen. I get the same thing. It's like the MGTOW guys are probably the worst. They have no understanding of how math or like their own will over the world works. And you try to explain this to them and they're like, no, you're going to end up divorced and this and that. And it's like, it doesn't work that way, guys. I get wanting to be cautious because there's a high impact to divorce and you should be cautious, but saying that there's a dice roll is completely incorrect. It's also when people talk about like any of these factors, like somebody's black, they're going to be a criminal. Somebody is has this intelligence level. They're going to act like this. It just, those things are not predictive at the individual level. And I think people are trying very much way too hard to do that. It doesn't convert to any of that. At most, you're looking at something broad that it deserves attention. If you say one out of every 3 Black Americans ends up in prison, it's like, this is a social problem. Is there anything that can be done to address it? Can we fix this social problem somehow? Not like, well, we better avoid Black people because every time I meet a Black person, he has a 1/3 chance of having been a criminal. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Reservoir Dogs made me really want an Acura. Late to the stream. Glad to have you here, Pulp Fiction. But there is a probability of dystopian cyberpunk novel in the idea that everyone is under the dominion of an algorithm that only serves them anger porn. Are we living in that? That's it. Yeah. Do you like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies? I do enjoy them, but they're not perfect. There's a lot of weird little details in them that aren't that great, but they have a great feeling to them. I think they really capture the Spider-Man I grew up with in the 80s and 90s, early 90s at least, pretty well. Do you like The Cure? No. Have you listened to Jun Fukamanchi's Quark? No. Let's keep going. Have you ever autographed books? Yes. Was it a surreal experience? Not really. It just kind of felt like someone wants an autograph. Okay. I don't know why they do, but here you go. It's just like a little thing. Well, the author actually autographed it for me. It's a little bit different from the others, a little more special. I expect that there will be a new Korean drama series about the beer virus incident. It will still somehow make you cry. Let's see here. Stanley Kubrick didn't do well in school and I believe tested badly, yet he's revered as one of the smartest filmmakers ever. Yeah, a lot of people end up that way. They either test badly or they, they're not, they don't do well in all the subjects. And frankly, the people who get like straight A's in school often fail, or they just end up as like middle level bureaucrats. It depends what you want school to do. The main thing school does, and one of the main things it grades you on, especially now, I've talked about this in a video called like Grades Are Meaningless or something like that. It really grades you on your ability to interact with the institution in the ways the institution prefers. So doing homework, following the rules, all of those things negatively impact your grades. And so people that tend to have midline grades tend to be very successful later because they're working a little bit outside the system from the get-go. They tend to be good business people. They think outside the box. It's always been a joke that the straight A students go to work for the C students who buy a car dealership. The C student goes to college on a college scholarship, never does anything with his life. When he graduates, he buys a car dealership, and then the straight A student goes and works for him as an accountant. That's always been kind of the joke. As the A students work for the C students. And then the D students make more for them working in the garage fixing the cars. The mechanics make a ton of money. So who's really stupid? This like basic level. Stupid is as stupid does. And like smart is as smart does. So a smart person who makes stupid decisions, is he really smart? It's like, oh, he remembers lots of things from this reading passage from the SATs. He read a passage and answered lots of questions correctly. It's like, but that didn't convert to him making any good decisions about anything ever. He was unable to discern the truth from fiction when it came to like basic understanding of reality. So was he really that smart? It's like, there's more dimensions than we're only testing a narrow dimension is really what you get down to. So even IQ, even a real IQ test has to be administered by a psychologist. And I had one administered when I was a child, like 8 years old or something. And I don't really remember it, but that's the only time I've ever had every time I've done an IQ test. And so most of the time what you're doing is you're converting SATs into IQ tests, which I don't really know if you can do that. But, you say, well, people with this IQ do this well on SAT tests. But SAT tests they're testing a narrow band of skills and knowledge that don't always translate to the real world, and they might be predictive for people doing well in college, in which case you should use them, right? So if people do well on SATs and then do well at the college, that should be part of the admission process. And when we kind of abandon that, then we're just really setting people up to fail. And I encountered this as a college professor. We had kids come in, and because of inflated, meaningless grades, they got admitted into the school with like a 2.8 GPA. They had low SAT scores like, 800, which is pretty low. And they had to take remedial English and remedial math as a result, and they just flunked out of college. So the college just collected thousands of dollars from them and kicked them to the curb. That's not good for them. So if the SATs are supposed to predict that, then use them. Then we should totally use that for college admission. We shouldn't assume that that's the entirety of a person's success or their ability to manage the world or their environment or anything like that. But, this is the problem with our institutions now, is we're abandoning predictive measures that actually do work. Grades aren't that predictive, but like SATs are predictive for how well you do in the college environment. And part of that is like being able to interact with the institution correctly. And you have to be able to jump through hoops to get a college degree. That's how it is. How do you like your steak? Medium well. I don't know. I'm not actually a big fan of steak. Hamburgers are much better. What is the David Stewart philosophy of education? Its importance, what people in general should study and be good at. I have no all-encompassing philosophy other than we generally do it poorly with public institutions, and there's reasons for that. You could go really, really deep with that. The main thing people need to be able to do is to have the knowledge. I mean, this is the baseline stuff. They have to have the knowledge and skills necessary to operate in reality in a way that they're not going to be victimized, and in a way that they're going to be able to, manage basic finances, do basic arithmetic for their employer or for themselves. Arithmetic's very important. Being able to read and write is very important. Those are the baseline skills. So if your education is not doing that, then it's really not doing a good job. And that's why I judge the public education system is not doing a good job. We graduate 18-year-old sociopaths who can't read or write. They're illiterate sociopaths. And illiterate sociopaths should not be able to get high school diplomas. So if you're not doing those basic things, you're doing it poorly. History, it's a whole, you're going down a whole nother rabbit hole as to how you should properly teach history and the importance of it. But for most people, they're operating in a day-to-day life where the deep knowledge of history is not important. Deep knowledge of history is important for people who are controlling the direction of society, but that's not most people. Even if they live in, quote, a democracy, they're really not in control of anything. So for most people, it really comes down to being able to manage arithmetic and reading. What does that make D and F students? I don't know what we're talking about. Sorry. After watching your video on old game consoles and loving it, and then old video games, I'm really enthusiastic for your video on the superiority of traditional animation over CGI. We can talk about the reason traditional animation is superior to CGI actually doesn't have to do with, how should I put this? It doesn't have to do with technical accuracy. Because you can make a CGI object. You can make a CGI object that has cartoonish style. Or you can make one that's very realistic. It comes down to a filtering mechanism that happens with artists. So I'm going to show you guys something. Let me see if I can. Let me figure out one. Here we go. So I'm just going to show you some paintings here from one of my favorite artists. His name is Caspar David Friedrich. So there's landscapes here. We're going to look at some of his landscapes. Here's a great little self-portrait of him with that intense look. And even that self-portrait is important. But let's look at a landscape. Let's look at this one. I really love this one. I've used this image before on some things, and I used A Walk at Dusk. I have a story that will hopefully be shipping this year that has to do with this painting. But we could just look at this one. So this is can I look at I just want to see a bigger one. Open image in new window. Here we go. So, we're looking at this right here. And what if we found this ruin of this church out in Germany somewhere, and we just took a picture of it? Would it have the same impact and meaning as this painting of it? And the answer is no. So when an artist paints something, he's representing it through multiple filters. He's not just showing it as it is, he's accenting certain details and leaving other details outside of it. Like what's beyond these trees behind this ruin? It's just a haze of nothing. It's not important. If you were there and took a picture, you might see like branches or some bushes or something. But that's not what's important for this. What's important is that we see the twisted, leafless trees. If we were to go during a different season and take a photograph, it'd be different. The window with the light halfway through it, the new moon in the sky above a church, which kind of promises rebirth in a way. There's meaning behind what's there, and it's superior to a photograph in every respect when it comes to the way it affects a human being, because it's gone through the filter of a human being. That is to say, that which is mundane is actually not mundane. We don't live in a purely material world because we're not purely material beings. Our perception is therefore not material. So when we're looking at a photograph is a very close to perfect representation of a thing, but it cannot be as meaningful. It doesn't convey as much information as a filtered image because of the way that the artist works on it. So animation is superior to CGI, not because of technical reasons, but because it is done by an artist, and the artist, through the process of actually physically drawing and representing a thing, is going through this filtering process. Whereas with CGI, we're making an object and then we're animating it. And so the details that are on the object are always there. The details that are missing from the object are never present. Whereas with cell animation, it's more fluid. We can include details, we can not include them. We can get very close and draw extra wrinkles on a character's face we haven't seen before. All of these things exist. When you make a 3D model of Buzz Lightyear, it's just Buzz Lightyear. It's Buzz Lightyear no matter how close you get to him, no matter how far away you get from him. There's no extra details, there's no loss of details, there's no accenting of the mood. You're not conveying the feeling of this. This is a romantic era piece, and it's all about the meaning and the feeling behind the image, not just painting what it looked like, right? And if we were to look at Baroque art, let me look up some Baroque art real quick, like by Jordanes or someone like that. Jacob Jordanes or Jacobus Jordanes. We'll look at some of his stuff, because this art, look at this portraiture he does, and there's so much more to it than a photograph of like this bagpiper. He's like grotesque, but it's what he's showing you. The artist is showing you what's important. He's showing you more than the material, because the material is not really what we perceive and understand and draw meaning from. Likewise, this is a little bit deeper and kind of off the deep end for some people, but artists make reality. Historians make reality too. We make our own reality. That is, we experience the cumulative reality of all people that have come before us and how they've recorded it and how they've understood it and how they've passed on the meaning behind it. So whether Scipio defeated Hannibal exactly the way that's recorded is not important. To us, that is reality. To us, the way Scipio won is reality, and therefore it exists. And I did this very explicitly in a book called The Crown of Sight, which I have here. You can actually get it for free right now. It's on the Corona-chan Spreading the Love anthology. It's called Crown of Sight. Otherwise, it's 99 cents. This is free, so you might as well just get the free version and get all these other books that are free in here too, or you can buy this giant physical. Anyway. So in that, there's a magical book that one of the characters creates. And he has this crown of sight. And the crown lets you make real things which you imagine. So he imagines the city, and it's real. And the city crumbles, it would fall to ruins if he were to take it off. But he realizes if he records the details of it in a book, then it will always exist. And so he creates a book that whatever you write into it is reality. So he begins to write the details of the city down, and there's a whole conflict about it. And the characters become suddenly aware that something has changed because he's changed what is real. He's written a different story from what happened. He starts writing the story that he wishes happens. But to the people who will look at the book in future generations, who are they to tell the difference? To them, it is reality. To them, that is what happened. So you are recording reality in a very real way. Likewise, we don't have photographs. So what Jacob Jourdain's paints is the reality as far as we can understand. We know that it's filtered through the machinations of art, but it is like reality. It's as close to our understanding of reality from where he was and what he was doing that we can understand. We look at illuminated medieval manuscripts. We're looking at what someone has decided was reality at the time. It's very weird to think about, but our perception of reality, if you come from the perspective that our perception of reality can't be divorced from reality itself in the solipsistic sense, it actually expands out to the collective sense as well. That whatever has been collectively decided upon is reality, is that which is real. It's a very, very hard thing for me to properly communicate. Look at this guy. I just love these paintings by him. Sometimes they're so grotesque, but they're so real. It's like he's trying to portray the ugly details of the person to really show who they were and like what, how ugly. This is a very famous painting. I use this one for lots of things. I think it's actually the cover of Prometheus by Emperor as well, the black metal band Emperor. Anyway, I was commenting on your quote of students working for C students. Yeah, okay, the C and D, I think the D students, I don't know what happens to the F students. They're probably in jail. But the D students, they end up like as mechanics, and they make like $100,000 a year. 100% agree on your take on art. My mother's an artist, and this helps me appreciate her work even more. Thank you. And my mother's an artist as well. I have her art all over my house, actually. She doesn't ever... I don't know. I don't know how her feelings. She doesn't do it anymore. It's really sad. Would you consider checking out that film Claws? Oh, I did. I've watched it. I enjoyed it. I like the voice acting in it. I think David Spade was in it, and I think he did a good job. I just ordered Voices of the Void the other day. I can't wait to read it. I'm so glad. Thank you. Found your channel long ago. Been loving the content. I appreciate that. I'm gonna put out an audiobook of that soon too. I have audiobooks that are just in Amazon's queue. They haven't been approved. I don't know when they'll be approved. I'll be putting them out on the channel. If you're getting tired of waiting for new chapters on, what am I doing? Eyes in the Walls. I might do the whole thing, or I might make it like a members only thing. Like if you are a $1 member, you can listen to all the audiobooks or something. Might be fun. I weep for the amount Netflix has spent on those weird CGI anime series that almost entirely suck. Anyway. All right. What are we going to do next? So I've gone through my rant, talked about everything sucks. It has to do with our perception and like what is really filtering into us and making us think about these sorts of things. Let's have a little fun. Let's have a little escapism. Let's play Oblivion for like 15 minutes. And we'll do a straw poll. And let's decide what we're going to do. So we've done this thing. Let's think. Are we going to go? Let's see here. We're going to go main quest, Mage College, or what's another one we could do? We could do Fire's Guild. What would be fun? Oh, Arena. Let's do those three. And we'll play for a few minutes. I'm not going to vote, but I will share it with you guys. And we'll go from there, okay? We'll just have a little fun. I need some escapism in my life, you know? I'm really glad you decided to do the audiobook yourself. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's really just me being cheap because it costs so much money in order to hire people to do something like that. You either are paying them royalties forever or you are paying them a lot out of pocket. They make more per hour really than a writer does. That it's like I need to do it myself. And I have enough skills. I feel like I can do it myself. I'm practiced at it, I guess. And so let's just do it. That wasn't David Spade. I'm wrong. It wasn't David Spade, huh? I noticed Morrowind on your taskbar. Which do you like more, Oblivion or Morrowind? I think I like Oblivion more, but that's not to say anything bad about Morrowind. I think I like the combat of Oblivion more. Morrowind has so much other fun stuff going for it. I love the RPG system of Morrowind. Morrowind's RPG system really makes you feel like it matters what skills you pick. Oblivion, there's some dead skills. You know, it's one of the consequences of them making like a mini game out of lockpicking, for instance, and mini game out of speechcraft. I really like speechcraft and lockpicking being kind of skill checks in Morrowind. There's a lot of things I like better about Morrowind, actually. But overall, I think I prefer Oblivion. This has a different... It's just different. It's like I like it a little bit more. But I do like Morrowind a lot. I have a lot of nostalgia for Morrowind. There's a magical and imaginative wonder from traditional animation that always lures and moves me, something that I don't feel from CG animation. This is why I never got used to it. I'm really glad you decided to do the audiobook. Oh, yeah, okay, read that. You should do the quest where you get stuck in a painting. Oh, I like that one. That's a fun one, too. And it gives you like a little smock of true paint. You have to kill trolls. You have to kill those painted trolls. That's fun. A bunch of us told you had the skills needed on a stream like 2 months ago. I recorded an audiobook like 2 years ago, just nobody bought it or listened to it. It was free. It's still free on YouTube. Of Garmish and the Farmer, just to figure out the the task of it. Let's see what we got. Looks like arena. People are going arena. So I'll go ahead and head over there. Let's see here. Oblivion. I have so many Steam games. My gosh. It's bad. All right, let's pop this over here. And we'll go... Where's that gaming one? I need to put more games. I need to put more games in... or put more books on this little bar over here. Like we're missing all kinds of books. Oh, that music. Play. Now, I want to play a game with like a light bulb in my eyes. So I'm going to do this real quick. Hopefully it doesn't crash on me. So I'm going to be a little bit darker. What's up, guys? Now you can see me. So, all right. And it crashed. So don't tab out in the menus. Is what you wanna remember, guys. So I am running with mods. Better Faces 2 is the face mod everyone always asks about. It's a good mod. If you feel like Oblivion's faces are just a little too much like melted candle wax, then that's a good one. I'm playing with some tree mods that just make the trees different heights and just fill out the environment a little bit. And a couple of others that just kind of improve the visuals just a little bit. Not a ton of different stuff. I kind of want to do one that like improves the combat animations. All right, where were we? All right, we'll just continue from the last save. I think I do want to... Since I think Arena's winning, I think what I do want to do is actually get some spells going. Now, since we're playing a mage character, it's really very fun to get the mage college going, because then you can make your own spells. I do have DLC installed, so I could go up to like one of these DLC areas. Another thing you can do, and I should have done it with this character, is if you make a wizard character that is hand-to-hand only and doesn't use like a sword at all, you can go down here to this, I think it's right over here. There's a unicorn that's part of a Daedric quest. You can just hop on the unicorn and it becomes your horse. But it will attack you whenever you pull out a weapon. So you have to be like a monk only. To be a monk or like just a wizard that doesn't use anything. Let's head over to the market district. We'll sell some stuff to Thorinir. We're at level 2. We leveled up.
Speak.
Actually, I think I probably need to go visit a shrine. I think I have some like bad magic on me. Yeah. There's the Temple of the One. Temple District. We'll go over there first. Bless ourselves. And get rid of that. Get this chat out. Have you ever considered writing for games or working in game development in any capacity? I have for hire, but I just don't like to do it because it's a lot of work and
Hi there.
yeah, it's just a lot of work and I don't know. It's mostly about... Wait, can you use this? Maybe you can't. Maybe I'm thinking of a different area. Maybe I'm thinking of a different church. Is there an altar in here? Or am I just like hallucinating? I think I'm hallucinating a memory, guys, that there's an altar in here that you can use. I don't think there is.
How are you?
Whoops. I think I must have hallucinated that. I don't want to have to go to like a different church. You know what? We'll just fight with the disease. Go sell our loot. Oh, cliff racers. My gosh, the cliff racers. So this is an example. Cliff racers are a great example. There's people who are okay with cliff racers and there's people who hate cliff racers, but nobody just likes them. Nobody likes their presence in the game. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, I feel that way about random encounters in JRPGs. Like there's people who are okay with random encounters. And I guess that's me. And there's people who hate random encounters. But there's never one who's like, I really like random encounters. Especially in the old ones, it's like you're trying to walk to a chest and you end up in a long fight and then you're like, where was I going? That's why I kind of appreciate games like Dragon Quest now where you can...
What kind of deal can I make for you today?
You can just kind of choose to do it or not for the most part.
May I interest you in some...
Let's see if I can...
Go ahead.
Oh, done.
Only quality goods for sale here. What can I interest you in?
Only quality goods for sale here. Now you want to keep these black wide pants. This is what Vincent Valtieri wears. Now if we do the arena, you can actually trigger the Dark Brotherhood when you kill the last guy, if you set it up right. Saw that.
That's a fair...
Really don't need these. Need all this stuff.
That seems a fair price.
2 of those.
You've made a
And we
good
can sell a lot of these
go.
damage fatigue poisons. They're not really very good, so we just sell them. And they weigh a lot.
A fine transaction.
Find these like potion of like you know, restore whatever, restore fatigue. Those are good to get rid of too. Minor bound armor tone, we already learned that, so we'll sell that. Now once we sell this Aliad statue, this is going to trigger a quest. So that's something you should know about. So if you go to that first dungeon there and you get the Aliad statue from the end, you turn this in, you'll get a quest to collect all the Aliad statues. And that's kind of cool.
A fine transaction.
Now I have all these Welkin stones, so I think I'm just going to sell. They're £1 a piece. I need to unload them, so I think I'm just going to sell a bunch of them. I don't really need them. The Varla stone I'll hold on to, because you can recharge an enchanted weapon with that, I think. But it's worth a lot of gold too, so it's like up to you if you want to sell it, if you get something like that. And
thank you. Come. All right.
So we're getting a little bit more. See, I like to pick, if you pick one merchant to sell most of your stuff to, he'll like you more and more. And then you can get better and better deals and actually start to haggle a little bit.
Goodbye.
I'm going to make some... If you just combine 2 pieces of food, you can make these like restore fatigue potions. And these are a really easy way to make money early on. And you can just find this stuff like sitting around too. Your stained figure, look at this. Your stained fingers attest to your diligence in mixing potions and learning their secrets. You are now an apprentice of alchemy. All potion ingredients have 4 potential effects. You can now automatically identify the first 2 effects. Sweet. Mutton. Rat meat. That's going to give us some int skill ups, hopefully too. Crab meat. Nothing mixes with crab meat. We're just doing food. Anything that does lettuce. All right, that's it. And then we'll sell those potions, and we will get some.
What kind of... May I interest you in some of my...
Start haggling a bit.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Let's go up a little bit.
I wouldn't make that deal. You bought that for a song.
Yeah, he's... There we go.
A fine bargain.
How much gold do I have now? 588. Oh, I'm buying. Am I buying or selling? No, I just bought a bunch of stuff. No, I'm selling, right? No, I'm buying. I just bought a bunch of stuff. All right, well, we'll sell it back. Here we go. I bought back the stuff I sold. That was stupid.
A fine.
Whoops. We'll roll with it, guys. You gotta pay the piper for not knowing what the hell you're doing, I guess.
A fine transaction.
Skyrim overly simplified these mixing mechanics. It really did. It oversimplified pretty much every mechanic. But it's okay, you know. It still had good gameplay. And so, I get it. Alright, we lost some gold. It's okay. Is there anything else I can sell? I'm gonna sell this.
You drive. A fine transaction.
Sell. My hearing aid keeps turning itself off over and over again. Alright.
I appreciate.
It's been too long.
Please come again.
Alright. Let's go do the arena. Now, if you're really good, you can like hide right here and actually steal from this chest, and you get like 500 gold out of it, which is pretty good. Let me show you guys a little secret you may not know. So you go over here. Let's see if they're doing it. So this girl and this lizard dude, they will fight, and you just watch them fight for a while, and you're gonna get some hand-to-hand skill ups. I think Oblivion's music and casting mechanics are the best in the series. I like it. So I like having magic available to me when I have weapons in my hands. Like, I hated that Skyrim didn't do that. And also Skyrim, basically as a result, you just didn't really have a lot of defensive magic. Like, defensive magic didn't really do... It was just missing or non-functional. Whereas this, like, I could put on, dragon skin, right? So I could do dragon skin or just protect, right? So put on a shield spell. And it's like I'm wearing armor. So anyway, you just watch these guys fight for a while. Watch these great animations and just listen to that great music. While Watch them fight for a while, and then you'll get a hand-to-hand skill up. You can also steal a pair of bracers that improve your hand-to-hand. There we go. 5 hand-to-hand skill. So the other thing you can do is if you break into this, there's some bracers in it that will give you some hand-to-hand skill. Sometimes you could find some food in this and make more of those fatigue potions, but not today. Not here, I guess. So anyway, that's a fun little one. Free 5 skill up, and then you can get, if you really want hand-to-hand, like I kind of wish I'd made this character like just hand-to-hand wizard. I'm not leveling efficiently. No, I'm not doing that for this playthrough because that's really boring to watch for the most part. Like going under the bridge and like spamming jump, that's annoying. I can bet we want to go downstairs to the Bloodworks. All right.
I don't know who you are, friend, but you've got about 10 seconds to tell me what you're doing in my Bloodworks before I lop your arms off.
The bands of Kwangdo. That's it. I want to be a combatant.
What? You want to be a combatant? Look at you. My granny could beat you, and she's dead. Wait, you're serious, aren't you? What is it with you people?
Punch Wizard is the only build to play. Yeah, I should re-roll. Punch Wizard. But oh well. It's fun. If you do Punch Wizard, you can have a unicorn mount.
Welcome to the arena, you filthy pit dog. You're free to fight so long as you know the rules of competition. Now let me give you your battle raiment. It's the uniform of all arena combatants. Do you want a light raiment or a heavy raiment?
So just so you know, you get one. If you look in the cabinet, there's some of each one. So if you want to change later, you can easily, once you've started this, you can easily go get like a suit of light or heavy for whatever you want to level. Question is light or heavy? Probably heavy. Probably heavy is what we want to go with. It doesn't matter that much which one you pick. Once you get to max level, if you're going to level either one, they're like the same level of protection, I think, and swiftness. So let's try the heavy raiment for now.
Wear it proudly and keep it in good condition.
We can always change later.
That way I can give it to some other suicidal idiot after you're dead. Just let me know when you're ready for a match, and we can get this over with. Gotta move on.
Over encumbered by the heavy armor, of course. Put this on. Wow, look at that. Look at this Chad dude here. Let's drop some stuff on the ground. Let's drop those. Another thing you can do is, like, if you want to walk quickly, you can take off the armor.
You haven't run home to Mama yet, huh? That's a good sign. So, you ready for a match, or do you just need some information?
I am ready for a match, sir.
All right, maggot. Looks like you're suited up in your battle raiment and all set to go. The red room is just over there. When you're ready to get eviscerated, just head up the ramp to the arena. Good luck, and may Azura have mercy on your soul.
I love talking to this girl.
The arena these days.
She's such a acerbic personality.
Seeing as how you'd be dead tomorrow.
Then you get to kill her later.
Stop talking already.
Okay, I didn't talk to you. Oh yeah, and this guy will give you a quest.
I don't believe I've ever seen you down
So
here.
the orcs look a little better with this mod, I think.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Agranok.
Things are going to look a little brighter on your screen than mine, by the way, guys, because I turned down the brightness big
Most
time.
people just call me the Grey Prince. It's kind of silly, I know, but the people of Cyrodiil need heroes. I'm more than happy to oblige. Ah, so you're an arena combatant. It's always good to meet a fellow warrior.
Yeah, the orc champion just will let you kill him if you do his quest, which is great. He's actually kind of hard to kill.
Yes, it's what everyone calls me.
Of course, he's
I guess
Great
I'm
Prince because he's
partly
part
to blame.
vampire.
I have never made it a secret that I'm actually only half orc. I am a lord's son, yet I've been denied the noble privilege to which I'm entitled. So I have become the Grey Prince, noble in my own right. Still, if I can
he's
prove
like-
who I really am and show the world that an orc
rocking
can be
around
noble
here.
in blood as well as deed, maybe, yes, you could help me.
I may be able to
I
help.
grew
Tell
up
me
here in
more.
the Imperial City, but I was born elsewhere. My mother was a servant in the employ of Lord Leviticus and resided.
We'll do
in
this
his
quest. Maybe we'll do
fortress.
this quest next. It's a cool quest.
Lady Leviticus.
We could also pick up vampirism. Yes, we could be
The Lord and
we could
my
be a
mother
vampire.
Grew close and ultimately fell in love. I was the result of their union. When the lady learned of my birth, she was furious and threatened to kill both my mother and me. So we fled, leaving my claim to nobility behind.
Whoa. Cut to the chase already, Gromalog. Please go on.
My mother
Let's be nice to
died
him.
recently.
I feel bad
Before
for him
she
too,
passed,
Vane.
She gave me this key and told me it would unlock the truth at the place of my birth, Crowhaven.
She was getting banged by a vampire.
Crowhaven is a ruined fort far to the west of here. I'd go myself, but my training regimen doesn't allow for the luxury of such an excursion. My friend, you must travel to Crowhaven and use the key to unlock whatever it is that holds the proof of my birthright.
It's your father,
Get this
and I'm
proof and
gonna.
return it to me, and I'll share
gonna
with
kill
you
him.
some of my finest combat techniques.
Oh, he gives you
Trust
like
me,
some permanent
You
boosts,
can't learn these moves
which
in
are
a
pretty
book.
cool. All right. Let's go. Let's go.
Good people of
Yeah, let's see here. All right. So I have a shocking touch. I got a heal. Got a shield spell. Got like a life absorb. I think I'm gonna put in. Let's see what else I got. Open very easy lock. Well, that's cool. Like that. Oops. Let's make 7 minor bound armor. I wonder if you put on the minor bound armor, if it will just take off your battle raiment and like nullify the match. Let's find out real quick.
City. Welcome to the arena for this.
Oh, there we go. Do I still have the battle raiment on? I don't. But the bound cuirass alone is actually like better than everything else. So there you go.
Match, we've got some fresh meat, 2 brand new pit dogs. So let's not waste any time.
Why do I have a? I don't have a heavy shield. All right, whatever.
The battle begin. Get this speed. The blue team combatant is not
You have been disqualified.
wearing an arena. Battle ring. The blue team is hereby, yes.
Do not disgrace yourself any further. It's letting me do it.
What a disappointing turn of events this is. Lead. The arena. Now. Oh, come. From the blue.
Is this person like unkillable?
Your end in shame.
All right, we're gonna have to load that quick save because this is getting annoying. Oh well. There we go.
For this match, we got some fresh meat. Two brand new pit dogs.
Gonna summon that skeleton ahead of time.
Let the battle begin.
Where is she? There you are. Shock you. Give me your health. Oh, she used a potion.
I'm just warming up.
Let's go.
Part where you fall down and bleed to death. Am I supposed to be
They don't let you loot them, unfortunately.
Hail the combatant from the blue team. Victor from the blue team. Leave the arena now and rest.
You've earned it. Alright. Let me get some gold here. Since I wasted the gold buying stuff from Thorinir's shop. No. Made such horrible mistakes.
I'm a busy man. By the 9
50
divines,
golds.
You did it. You actually won.
50 golds.
You ain't so bad after all, Pit Dog. You may even survive enough matches to advance in rank. Here, kid. This is your payout for the victory. There's more where that came from if you can keep on winning. Now go unwind before your next fight.
Alright. Now, we can go do that vampire quest, which is, let's take a look at that. We have to walk pretty far for that. Where is it? Hammer Mill, that's not where we're going. Oh. Oh, it's way over here. Okay, Crowhaven. Yeah, okay. I know where Crowhaven is. There's actually like some stones we could get over here. Oh, Fingleam. We could pick up Fingleam. That's a cool piece of armor. It's over here by Anvil. Should we do that? All right, should we do more fights? Let's do another
Okay,
fight.
so you're not a complete loser. Don't get cocky. Let me know when you're ready for a match, and you can prove yourself to me some more.
Here we go. I'm ready for a match.
Now that's the spirit. You give the people of Cyrodiil a good show, and I'll make sure you get a decent burial.
All right. Now this is good at low level, by the way, guys, because like there's all kinds of weapons. Like if you can just pick up the low level weapons and they're good. You know, they're fine at like level 1, level 2. You ever played Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning? I have. I never finished it. And I never finished it because it just like I just lost the will to play it. I maxed out my character like in the second area, playing on the maximum difficulty. It's a good game though. I'll go back and finish it one day, maybe on stream or something.
Let's find out. Lower the gates.
All right.
Do your work. That the best you can do?
Got it.
We have a winner. All hail the combatant from the blue team.
I don't even know if I'm going in the right door now.
Blue team, leave the arena now
think I am, because there's a red thing there. You've earned it. You know, I haven't played any Metal Gear Solid games since PS2, actually. That was the last one I played.
Okay,
Metal
so
Gear
you did it
Solid 3?
again. What do you want from me?
Metal
a
Gear
hug?
Solid 2? I don't
Take your
remember.
gold and get out of my face, pit dog.
Alright, let's go do this. I'm running out of time for the stream. Let's go at least walk over to Crowhaven and see what's up. And maybe we can go from there. I really should start the mage college, because you get like proper like mage attire as you go. Good magic stuff, I think. All right, yeah, let's go do it. Let's see what's up. And we can just wear this heavy armor. It's probably not too damaged here. Actually, before I go, let's go to the market district and maybe buy some spells and stuff. I wasted my gold, but oh well. There's more where that came from. Another thing you can do if you're looking for like cheap stuff, you can check these, and like here's 2 gold, you know. But there'll be some repair hammers and some food in a lot of them. So you can grab cheap repair hammers, food to make cheap potions, which is good. Flour, grab all that flour. And with the cheap repair hammers, or the free repair hammers, you can level up your armor and also just like repair your stuff. Like, no one cares. I'm just taking all this food. There's just this food. Somebody shipped this into the Imperial City here to, you know, feed the hungry masses. And here I am just looting all of it. Who is this guy? There's some deer meat in this barrel. I'm sure that's good to eat. It's good to... I'm sure that deer meat has not gone rancid sitting in that barrel. There's a repair hammer. Lockpick. Oh, that's cool. Lockpick, yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm listening. Yes?
You want to talk to me? She doesn't like me. The Grey
Is that wanted
Fox!
criminal? Isn't he a master thief? I hear he's dangerous too.
The deep layers
I
of
heard
gibbering
that
that
they
Metal
spy
Gear
on him.
brought in the media. I'm not sure. Like, I haven't really paid attention to it.
Fair enough.
I didn't pay that much attention to the series, I guess.
Black Horse Courier here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and repair hammer. Oh, there we go. So much for that. There's all kinds of junk in all this, all these little boxes, you know? It's really funny. Well, that's the end of that. Fighting chance, Merchant's Inn. There should be like a spells thing. You can actually find spell books sitting around the first edition that you can just read that will like give you spells. So let's actually check out this area real quick. Yeah, the ability, so Syriax makes a good point, like being able to repair magical items is a big deal in this game. There's a lot of magical items. So being able to repair them is a big deal. So you don't have to pick these up and steal them. You can just read them, and like this one gives you a map marker on the cleansing of the Fane. Something to go check out. I do have Knights of the Nine installed too, so I could do that one as well at some point. Gods and Worship. A lot of these are copies of like the same ones, you know. There we go. Light armor skill. That one gave you a little bit of That's the King of the Aliens. Darkest Darkness. Nope. Darkest Darkness. I'm not going to read all the books here because that'd probably be boring. Although, I don't know, some of you might enjoy... See, I really should try to steal that because that's whatever. But you can get those for free once you join the Mage College. You can get like a whole thing. You can get all of these little things for free. And you can actually take them and sell them and get a lot of gold. Which is nice. I think maybe that was the only skill book. Sometimes you can find some sitting around. Nope. Guess that's it. Guess that's it. Oh wait, I forgot about these ones behind him. There we go. History of lockpicking. I guess I already read that one. More history and culture. Nope. Guess not. Don't even want to talk to him. Let's go to the spells. Sells the spells. There's the staff. Now you can get a staff here that'll kill Umbra. Pretty good. But I don't think we're going to do that for this playthrough. No, yeah, no spell crafting in Skyrim. Really sucked.
Edgar, you don't want the very best. You want cheap. And I got cheap.
I offer the finest goods and lowest prices in all Cyrodiil.
Absorb attribute. That's kind of interesting. Bound dagger's really pretty good to have. Burning touch is good. Oh, the feather spell. Yeah. Fortify Magicka. Major wound. Minor life detection's pretty good. I think there's a scamp summon. Water breathing's good. Snowball's good. Oh, I'm gonna get that scamp skill. Get scamp. All right. I don't know if I want to get the feather. 50 points of feather. If I can like.
Another. We'll see.
Now the way you want to do this mini game is you want to see where they are, and all you really have to focus on is just having the lowest one for the angry face.
Not now, not later, not ever.
So we did the lowest one for the angry face for either of the two angry faces. So he's happy.
I accept. I have no choice.
Neutral.
Not bad.
So
I
you've
doubt
got
it.
a little hider. Angry, happy,
Yes.
happy,
Yeah,
angry.
I doubt it.
And we do
Good one.
that.
Don't. I
I
what
messed that one
nonsense.
up.
I doubt. Don't.
Happy,
I
happy.
That's
There we
pretty
go.
good. Not now. Sure. I doubt it. Have a look at my wares. I'm sure there's something to suit you.
We can save a couple gold.
You've got to be kidding.
Oh no, I'm haggling too much. There we go.
Thank you.
All right.
Farewell.
Maybe there might be some spell books around here. Sometimes you can like steal some. Skill books. All right. Love this music. I think we're out of time for the stream though, so I think we might have to call it there. Yeah, the spells that you can make in this game, you can make a spell that will like kill an enemy and then turn you invisible, like stuff like does two things at once, which is just great. You know, we should have more of it. I'm so overburdened. I need to like either. I think I'm just. Here's what we'll do. We can always get more of these, but I think I can put them in the barrel here. And there it is. We'll just remember that it's in that barrel. I'm not wearing any pants. No pants. There we go. That'll work. For now. Go over to Anvil. Now, of course, if we were doing this like total RP way, you'd have to walk over to Anvil. Someone says, what? No Skyrim? Skyrim's fine. It's been done a lot. All right, I'm going to show you guys one little... I probably won't be able to find it. There, right out here where this little loop of the Abyssinian Sea or whatever, there's a hidden helmet called Fin Gleam that gives you life detect, underwater breathing, and night eye. Gives you all three. It's pretty good. So you can just go pick that up, but I think we're going to skip that today. And I do think there's a stone over here somewhere, though. So... let's go see if we can find it. There's a shrine. Let's stop by that quick. And then I think there's a standing stone where we can learn a spell or something. There it is. Or maybe it gives us like a... might give us like a bound weapon. I think this is one of the places where you can do the item duplication thing. Do you seek its conjured weapon and armor? Yes. So we get a conjured Daedric bow. And something else. Oh, a helmet. Rad helmet. So you can actually drop the bow and wait for the spell to go off, and you can just pick it up and have like a 0-weight bow. But that's kind of cheating, so we're not going to do that. It's just a bug that you can exploit if you want. If you really want to. Skyrim's okay. Skyrim has good atmosphere. It's just the gameplay's really dumbed down. The RPG elements are really pushed to the side, and I think a lot of people liked that. They didn't want to have to think about the system of Oblivion. And you don't really have to think about Oblivion's system. If you just ignore it, you can have a great time playing this game with no hiccups whatsoever. The problem is, a lot of people that want to like min-max, it's an annoying system to try to keep track of. Oh. This other skeleton we killed. Where'd he go? Bone meal. More skeletons? Yes. Somewhere. Reminds me, I need to set up my summon scamp spell. So let's do that. Instead of upgrading from summon skeleton to summon scamp. Scamps are good. And then we'll upgrade from scamp to something else, like spider daedra eventually. I love this like clarinet melody. It's beautiful. Ba-da-ba-da-bum. Ba-da-bum. Ba-da-ba-da-bum. Very, very, very good impressionist style to the music of Oblivion, I think. Well, that raised my acrobatic style, even though it damaged me. Okay. All right, I think we're going to save here, and we'll pick it up Later, guys. I've entered Crowhaven. Somewhere inside, I will unlock the truth that Agronat Gromalag is searching for. I should be cautious, however. The fort has long since lost its noble trappings, and the presence of evil is unmistakable. I think we're going to pick up vampirism. I'll do a poll next time. Yeah, no paladin build when you can't, like, you can't, and maybe I get it for like casting something like a fireball, but for casting something like, you know, protection spell. Why can't I cast a protection spell with my weapons? It's like, well, because, you know. Of course, in Morrowind, you had to like ready the magic, then cast the magic. It was kind of annoying, but whatever. All right, guys. I think that's probably going to be it for today. I really appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with me during this little live stream and chilled out gaming session afterwards. Let's go ahead and we'll call it there. New book is called Keys to Prolific Creativity. It's just mostly about setting up your creative process and making sure that that is working out for you. So you can get that right here. Let me go ahead and transition over it. There it is. So you can go ahead and grab that. And if you did like it, please do leave a review. That really, really helps me out. And I will see you guys next time. I do appreciate it. Books. There we go. All right.